Good day everybody, welcome back to another episode of Craft by Tim. Today I've got a pretty big project. This over here behind me, this is the area that I use for forging. Concrete slab that we have here is about 310 centimeters, 310 centimeters by 310 centimeters, or 3.1 meters by 3.1 meters. What I want to do is I want to have a little bit more of a semi-permanent, permanent forging setup. On Gumtree yesterday I saw there was an ad put up 3 hours before I said anything about it, and it was a free shed, and I was like, perfect, that's exactly what I want. It's a little bit oversized and then a little bit undersized this way, so there's a little bit of work that we're going to have to do to make sure that it's right to actually turn into a usable platform. Okay, so you just have to trust me that this is in fact a shed, not just a bunch of sheets of metal. I'm going to take this, reassemble it, cut off all the rust hopefully, and then we're going to hopefully have a usable shed. I've also got a bunch of corrugated iron here. That was actually from the table that I used to have, rip table. If you want to see the video you can. We got this corrugated iron to work with, and I think that's going to be the new skirting, because the shed that I've got now was actually dug in to the last place. So basically the top, the bottom maybe 10, possibly more centimeters or so have been just rusted away. So I've got to come up with a solution which will probably involve this corrugated iron running along the bottom all the way around, and hopefully that will sort of prevent further rust and that sort of stuff, and hopefully just sort of make it look neat, I guess. This is actually going to go to my brother, as it was meant to originally. Sorry Greg, it's coming on this way. I've got a table up in the trailer there that I'm going to replace the tabletop with this. I've also got these pipes which rusted pretty badly, but hopefully it's just sort of surface rust and there's still enough material on there that I can actually weld to. If there's enough material there that's not rusted through and through, then I can cut off 40 centimeter sections, and then that's going to become basically just feet for the shed. Whilst the camera was on charge, all I've done is taken a 5mm drill bit and I drilled out every single rivet hole. Most of them, I think. These are the rivets that were holding it together before, I think. I think they were 3mm rivets. When you snap a rivet, when you pop it, what happens is you snap this rod that goes up through them. Now sometimes, if you're unlucky, they snap right here at the base, just peeking out enough so that you can't drill directly into that hole. And if you don't get a good starting point, it means that sometimes you can't drill out the rivet perfect. Usually then what you do is you just drill on the outskirts of the rivet, then you sort of direct it into the center, and eventually you'll get there, but you end up messing out the hole a little bit. Now obviously what that means is that regular rivet won't fit in, but a bigger one will. And this one here is a 6mm rivet. So it starts out as a 4.8, and then once it expands, it can go up to like 6.2. They're approximately sort of like the same size in length. This one's a little bit longer, but obviously it's a lot larger, which means that A, a lot more strong, and B, it's going to fit into a larger hole. So I've had to re-drill out all of the holes and everything with a 5mm drill bit. We're going to go through and we're going to start to reassemble the shed. And yeah, this is going to take a really long time. Let's get popping. So a few things have happened since we last spoke. I've got a lot of metal dust in my hair after cutting up all of those angles. I somehow sprained my wrist. And I got a lot of welding to do. The angles that you just saw me cut up, next step for those is to drill out holes for them, for the dyno bolts. Pop rivets. So these are the pop rivets that I've been using so far. They're 4.8, I think they've got a grip of 3.2 millimeters. You can get a pack of these for $9 for 100. It's easy enough. I'll just go grab, you know, an extra 100. That should do me. And then I saw next to them, they also had a slightly larger size. And I was like, oh yeah, that seems all right. So this is a larger size. This is same size, 4.8 by 6.4 millimeters grip length, so slightly larger. The big difference about these two are the thickness of the shaft that runs through them. This is a lot of material to try and snap, and it takes quite a bit of effort for me to pop it with one of these things. These things are insane. do is we're actually going to disassemble the shed. So the plan is to take it all apart, lay it out on the grass, and attach the legs, as well as the skirting that's going to go around the base, assemble it so it's already rigid, and we won't have the problem of the flapping at the base. We also don't have to lift it up to get the skirting and legs underneath. The only problem is that it then means that trying to put on the roof is going to be that much harder. Ad hasn't come around today. He was able to help me put together all of these, which are the skirting. But whilst we're doing it, we broke this. Now this is a little bit of a important tool, so we had to go out and get a new one. But that's junk. So we got a new one. I've seen these being used before. Z-Not Alpha or Z&A Productions had one for a while, and I thought that's actually a really nice way of doing it, because it means that you can get so much extra pressure out of that than what you do with just a single hand. You also get a nice little storage containers for all of the ends, and it means that it's just easier to do it. You don't need as much grip strength. I've actually been really enjoying using this. It makes very short work of the bigger rivets. It's just such a nice tool to use. I feel like I should probably do like a proper review of these, because I really like them and I'd highly recommend them. I somehow sprained my wrist.
Reach me with that hand. Reach me with that hand. You cannot.
I think the weather's trying to tell me that this is a bad idea. Okay, so at this point in time, we're looking pretty good. We have the shed sort of more or less assembled, actually pretty big. We have angle iron in the corners here, and they just weld straight to the top there and run down to the bottom. Had to have those because basically the corners were crumpling. My bad, whoops. So it's just on the front too. You don't need any in the back ones. The back is. Overhead we have the wooden frame. I wouldn't be too willing to hang off this, but it's pretty strong. Fun fact, structural pine isn't just pine that looks like crap. There's apparently a difference. But we were given this pine for free with the shed. This isn't exactly the strongest of pine. It's also still kind of green, so it's still kind of moving, and there's somewhat of a likelihood that it might snap. Not sure whether or not that's going to be a problem. So you'll also notice that we added this post and one of these front walls. The post is to support the frame because it did actually start to sag as soon as we put the roof on, which isn't good. It seems like we've actually fixed that problem, and now it's got the right pitch. Everything worked out in the end. And because of that, we also had to fill in this space so it wouldn't just be a random post in the middle. We'll probably put another post somewhere around about here for the other side to support it as well. I'm not entirely sure whether or not that one's necessary yet. Good amount of space that would be protected from the weather. Something I'm only just starting to notice is there's quite a bit of echo in here. Hopefully when I start to move in more tools and that sort of stuff, hopefully it'll start to reduce some of that echo, or I might end up having to look at doing something to the walls to help sort of help minimize that echo, because it's going to make me deaf and anybody around it just sort of, oh, that's kind of loud. On the opposing side, you'll notice that up here we've got a maybe 50mm gap, 75mm gap along the top there, and that was because we had to cut off one sort of section of this. So that's about 17 centimeters. When we lose the 17 centimeters, obviously this wall had to come in, and that's why we ended up with the gap, because it was too short. Hoping that that's going to be okay, because it's going to allow a little bit more airflow. And in this particular shop, that's going to be important, because this is where I'm hoping to do all of my welding, all of my blacksmithing, basically where I'm creating all of the toxic gases from metal. My main concern with that was, of course, the wind would pick this up, you know, rip the roof off. But once I got these screws in place that are actually holding the roof to these posts, it seems to be pretty damn strong. It still kind of rattles a little bit, so I might see about doing another brace. But I don't want it to be too messy either. However, having braces up here is good because it means that I can hang hooks from them and I can store stuff. I can also have lighting in here, like hanging lamps and that sort of stuff. And that would also be good. Okay, let's talk about some of the juicy stuff to do with the shed. First of all, is this the easiest way to do this? No, probably not. I think every shed build is going to be slightly different unless you get two kits and you put them in the exact same spot. Every shed build is going to be slightly different, and this is just one of the ways that you can do it. The thing is that I've tried to work best with what I had, and I tried to find the best solution for the materials that I could obtain easily. Let's talk about the cost, because obviously this was mostly about trying to build this for as cheap as possible and as close to free. And of course, you know, saving the environment is also important. So let's have a star system to say how many environments we saved. Okay, so first things first, obviously, the shed. The shed itself was free and it was recycled. So we saved 1 environment and $1. Well, obviously a lot of dollars because sheds aren't cheap, so we saved money. Secondly, the posts, these things, they were also free because they came with the shed. I recycled these from a different, I don't actually know where these came from, but the 40mm tubing, that was all free, so also saving environments. You know, steel production is a costly process. The skirting on the bottom here, they were also free. And lastly but not least, essentially all of the screws that I used for this entire build are actually recycled from previous projects. So yeah, also saving the environments and money. There are almost 300 pop rivets holding this shed together as of right now. How much money is that? about 30 bucks, just under. But if you add in all these little angle iron brackets, it comes close to pretty well smack on 30 bucks. That stuff was scrapped, so it's cheap, and also still technically saving the environment. Next up, we have this post. Now you saw me cut the post down into half, so the other post is going to somewhat, hopefully eventually go somewhere here. And that was about 15 bucks, just under. And then of course we also have the angle iron, 3 meters, and it was $15. Basically, up until this point, I've spent an approximate grand total of about 60 bucks. That's not bad, I reckon. Obviously, this isn't the end of this journey. First of all, we have to furnish this place. More importantly, this stuff is still technically floating. So we gotta put in some 9 volts. There's a few little things I wanna add, and there's a few little things that I wanna change about the shed. First of all, I wanna add something here. You can't see that, but there's a sharp edge exposed, and I feel like I'm eventually going to walk into it. I need to move a table in here. I need to set that up for specifically welding, so that's going to be also in the next episode where I do more on the shed. I hope this inspires you to build your own space if you have the capability to. It does mean that I can forge a little bit easier in any sort of weather. There is going to be a second episode in this series where I'm going to be actually outfitting the shed and just doing a few minor sort of finishing touches. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found it enlightening. Don't forget to leave your comments as to whether or not you actually enjoyed this video, because it's the easiest way for me to find out whether or not I'm doing the right thing by making more videos like this. And if you came across this video whilst trying to get into blacksmithing, very best of luck. It's a lot of fun, and I hope you guys enjoy it. In fact, no matter what you're getting into, I hope you guys enjoy it, because making stuff is truly really fun. Anyway, so if you have any further suggestions as to whether what I should do to sort of help outfit this shop, let me know what you think. Feel free to subscribe if you're new, as it helps out the channel heaps. And I'll see you all in the next episode. In the meantime, remember to stay safe, happy crafting, and as always, cheers. I suppose that's the end of this video. Question is, did I actually enjoy it? Well, I guess you could say I found it riveting.